All right, we're at about 6:30.
Kelly's daughter.
Is it recording?
It is recording, yep.
All right,
We're ready to go.
all right.
Okay.
I'm gonna call the Village of Cross Plains Plan Commission meeting on February 3rd, 2025. To order, roll call, please.
Commissioner Brochus,
Here.
Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Thusius,
Here.
Trustee Brunner,
Here.
Trustee Kettlebeater,
Here.
and President Langfeld.
Here, please stand for a pledge of allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're at public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the Plan Commission on any issue. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes. While the Plan Commission encourages input from residents, it may not discuss or act on any issue that is not duly noted on the agenda. Don't see anybody. I don't see anybody on there, so we'll go right to general business.
I'll make a motion to approve the January 6th, 2025 planning commission meeting minutes.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yep,
Go ahead.
my name is misspelled on the roll call. So if we could fix that, people do read. It's spelled right further down, but it just needs to be corrected on the roll call.
Yes, I will make that change. Thanks,
Thank
Bill.
you.
All right. So we'll make that one change to the minutes. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same. So moved. All right, number 2, discussion and possible action regarding the Lions Legacy Pavilion. Mike, you want to take lead on this?
Thank you, lead. All right, well, thanks for having me. It's been quite a while, obviously, since we probably have heard about this project. And we thought it's not coming to fruition, but obviously the Lions have been working extremely hard to make sure that this becomes a piece of our village, and we're almost to that point. So I wanted to meet with all of you prior to next month. Next month we'll have kind of a final plan, so hopefully for all the projects, so you can put out the bidding for the project itself. Just kind of a synopsis I provided, more of the project background when it started. Back in 2021, we did enter into an agreement, or the village entered into an agreement with the Lions, a memorandum of understanding, kind of outlining what each group was looking to do with this project. And as of, let's say, back in December, or this last December, the Lions did their entire part of raising all the money needed for the project. So I am here with you today as we've been working with Snyder now to come up with some site plans, come up with, obviously we need some reporting as well that needs to be done for the DNR that's going to be a part of this, and then erosion permitting, along with some site amenities and what's going to be added to the area. So I'm here to kind of provide that information for you tonight within the site planning of this project. And if you have any questions or anything you'd like to see added to this, this is kind of the time that we can do that. So we have about a month or so before we bring it to you and then bring it to the board for approval to go out the bid.
Go ahead, Judy.
I know part of it was a big grant. Are we still feeling great about that?
Yeah, we feel even better after last Friday.
Yeah, I think it was
Friday,
last
we finally got our letter.
Oh, good. Okay.
So they have been promising it for some time, and then they've gone down to the Capitol building for signatures, but hadn't received them yet. So we just kept waiting and waiting.
Yeah. I think, yeah, Thursday probably.
Yeah, that grant was for $249,000. So about half the project cost, which was
Awesome.
almost well.
Yeah.
And I would give Lisa Lassinger and Mike Calvin, the Lions crew in general, the Lions Club, did just a great job kind of putting together a lot of information for the grant. Obviously, we had to add a lot of stuff in regards to the park and the village aspect of it. And the village is even fine for it, but they did a fantastic job outlining it. So it was,
Awesome.
yeah.
Is that Kevin?
No, you answered my question.
Scott?
So yeah, great project. One thing that I'd like to see added that's kind of in there, in the bollard lighting. I'd like to see one, at least by where the path, the shelter meets the regular path. It's shown in the renderings, but not on the plans.
Yeah, so the reason for that is the money. So the bollards in there, we're gonna have them do the planning aspect of it, so we'll have electrical there, we'll actually have the conduit where it would come up to go into the bollard. So they've worked with this bollard company before, so they know everything they kind of need to do. That isn't in the current budgeting process or budget for this. But it is something that we've looked at for future CIP additions to go all the way along.
Yeah, that was gonna be my other thing. I'd like to see this be set up so that we can extend it all the way to the boardwalk. Finish having a lit path from Brewery to Main Street. Completely lit, so perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
So where is electricity coming from, seeing as there is none on that side of the road?
Yeah, so electricity will be coming from Main Street, so we,
Under the creek or?
no, so
Under the bridge.
it'll actually be tied to the bridge.
Oh.
We're allowed to do that. It will be coming from the upper parking lot there.
Yep,
It will be coming from right around that, where Carly had her. It's right around there.
Underneath
We actually have conduit already.
okay,
When we did that project, we had put conduit underneath for the light that goes to the middle there.
okay,
And then we'll attach to that and go to the shelter that way.
great. Awesome.
If you look through, or if you were able to look through this, there's a lot of notes in there with some questions. At the next meeting, mine's all marked up, I have a lot of stuff on there already, but I want everyone to kind of see what they had planned. They have like color choices for this, that's another, there are so many options, that you can pick from. And in a lot of the renderings, we use kind of the black posts, mainly because that's kind of what the downtown revitalization plan, kind of went along with that. But then they do have some options that are out there, kind of where it was gray, I think one was green, so, we'll be trying to bring that kind of a final color scheme. If you have any, things that you'd like to see for colors, please let us know now. For my staff and the Marcos County with them, the next one.
Do the Lions have a preference?
So far, no, other than they didn't like the green, or didn't want the green, but.
Yeah, I'd be interested in their input as the people who raised the money and do it. If they give us some good recommendation, I would be fine.
Seth and then Kevin.
When I was on landscaping, I remember there was a comment, I don't know if it was in the grant review, that suggested like changing those evergreens, to canopy trees. I don't know if the evergreens were, I thought maybe those were a good idea if they're for screening and for sound, a little bit of soundproofing towards the houses.
Yeah.
If that was what the thought is, streets.
Yeah, so we've been having a lot of discussion, so I went back and forth with the DNR on this as well. They would like to see more of a buffer, for the creek, not necessarily the sound, more for the creek. So staff is actually working on a landscaping plan of our own, for just some of the grasses and forbs that we already have, to do more or less, a rain garden on the north side of that property. That is not showcased in here, but even the trees that they have in this plan, we're probably going to do an addendum for, and make it so that we can just do that on our own. So the planting of that'll save us quite a bit of money. Something we've done, we do in all of our parks as well, and even if it's just us working with Solvang closely on that, usually that's a really good price for being closer to the village, so. But they'd like to see more of a rain garden for the runoff.
The buffers for runoff,
Correct.
not lighting, we're worried about lighting,
Lighting
yeah,
from the DNR?
lighting the creek, even light on the water.
Oh, they did not say anything about that. Our lights right now, though, are going to be just inside the pavilion. So yeah, they'll be facing down. The original plan has two, that would be out on the Lions Legacy Pavilion. That's gonna be a cast iron type sign that goes underneath it. That'll be in the next renderings too, so you'll have all of that to approve. We've taken those lights off, so there won't be anything shining down. I didn't want to have to go through that whole thing as well. So, those will come on, and then we added 2 more, options for speakers in the future, so if there happens to be, speakers that we want to put on the post or something.
It's been a long time. Remind me what we decided on bathroom.
So no restrooms currently in this plan, obviously, no sewer and water, going into the park. When we did the parking lot up there as well, we kind of stubbed in a lateral for sewer and water. So in the future, maybe there's a modular type building that we can just set on that, not having to tear everything up and be able to stub right into the current, lateral.
The closest public bathroom could be a village hall.
Will there be, like for events, would people just put porta potties back there?
Correct, and so
Were you thinking like a screening for them or just leave them out?
right now, we did, in the original plans right away, we did have an area for a screening, right kind of, to the south of the path.
On the other side of the path.
Yeah, and, we had them take it out, after all the plans started going through, mainly because we're not gonna be able to leave them down there, with a flood of any sort. You don't want a porta potty in that area, so the other option would be to put, take a couple of those stalls, up in the parking lot and just make those there for porta potty use, and we can always either build something around it or do some type of.
Well, it's been a long time coming and I appreciate your efforts following this along, and of course, the Lions, and saw the stewardship grant. Just on that side, stewardship, Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program is up for reauthorization in the budget in this year. And so it would be really wise to secure that funding as soon as possible. So the program is not renewed come July 1. You've got your money basically in hand, obligated. So I wouldn't trust anything past July 1. So I would seek to get that in your hand as soon as possible.
Well, and that's our plans there, our goal. We didn't want to make any purchases, now that we know that we have, prior to getting the grant letter with the signatures on it, that obviously can make it so that whatever you purchased, can not go towards the grants. We didn't want to do that for sure, knowing that this shelter in itself is probably the largest piece of the puzzle and expensive piece of the puzzle. Now that we have that letter, that's why we hope to have this in plan in March 1st and go forward at the end of March and go out for bid, so we can purchase the tolerance structure itself. Then we can just submit right to the reimbursement. Thanks. Yeah.
Judy?
My only thing about the porta potty, you know how the other part, we have a porta potty just in the summer months? Could we maybe just do that for the summer months?
Yeah,
For some like
that's
that?
what we would probably do, even just like from drought days to
Right.
a certain time. And we can come back maybe even with a plan of what we have some pretty good, some guys with some pretty good workmanship. I think they could even come up with their own screening and things if we want to do something in that parking lot. And the problem with that is we're taking little parking we already have, we're taking a couple of
This is
some of that.
important.
Yeah, the restrooms in that area or around that have been.
Because really, when people are walking that park, it is very important, even with kids or whatever,
And if you talk to the businesses there, that's their
Right.
biggest complaint.
Right.
So many
Right,
people are
everyone
using
wants to
their
go in the
bathroom.
vessel, just use the bathroom or whatever,
I just have a couple house cleaning things that we should think about, because I went through it and it's more on the budget part. This project hasn't been in CIP for the last 2 years, so we need to get it to the board for a budget amendment,
Okay.
because we still owe 37,400 towards the project.
Yeah, some of that will be, I guess we can decide how we want to do that. Some of that would have been put towards this phase 2 for getting all these drawings and things.
Yeah, however, all I'm saying is we need to follow the money part of the MOU, because I went through and saw that we didn't have it in the SIP. So we need to, whatever amount it is, and then we should probably get 50 grand from the Lions Club, because in the MOU, it's $1 for dollar. And yes, and now that we have it and we know we're going, we kind of didn't hold them to that early on, because if the project fell through,
Right,
how do they return the money that we spent? So we kind of took on all the costs,
sure.
but we gotta even that out now, so they should, give you guys the 50 grand and we should start splitting this, 50-50 until we burn up our part, but we should have a budget amendment, like if you go to the 2023 budget, it has that amount and it explains that
The
again.
50 grand it has in there? Or just-
No, it says that we've already spent 12,600, so the amount in the CIP is for 37,400.
Okay,
So we gotta
Mhm.
make sure we have approval of that
Yeah.
fund.
Yeah.
I'll talk with Bobby tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, and then talk to Lisa of getting the match there, so we can start matching it.
Yep. Okay.
And is that gonna be the plan? Cause isn't that grant and also match, grant?
Yes,
So we need to get the funds from them too, if we're gonna start tapping, and I agree we should, and I'm with Kevin. Let's get as much spent, so we gotta have their money to be able to do that match. I don't wanna get hit with supplanting or anything like that.
yeah, I think, yeah, we can.
There's gotta be a strategy there, cause we should be moving this on. I know they wanna do earth breaking in May, even if it's symbolic.
Yeah,
But again, as soon as we buy that and get the bids out for contracts and get the money spent, there's less likelihood that we're gonna have it pulled from us.
Right, absolutely. Mhm.
sounds good.
Anybody else have any questions for Mike?
Good job.
Yeah, very good. It's good that this is finally coming to an end.
It is, I agree with you.
I don't know, I go all the way back to 19, I went, and it was in the budget in 19, so we've been carrying this for quite a while.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's been quite a while. Sometimes good things come a little too late.
Yeah, I'm.
Mhm.
Weird stuff.
Yes, there was. All right, is that all you need from us then?
I think we're good.
Great.
If you have anything over the next couple weeks, read over it and see stuff, if we're just shoot it over and you can add it to it or kind of talk about it more. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, discussion and possible action on the village comprehensive plan, chapter 9. That was me. It was a pretty easy chapter. It was actually very well written. I think I only made 2 changes. One was a simple one. The very first one, if you go under monitoring, the stuff in the yellow, it would be my personal recommendation we remove. Again, this looks really good and sounds nice, but we don't do it, so why have it in there if we're not gonna do it? I mean, the only time we actually talked about it is when we were doing amendments. I mean, I kept it in for the budget thing just because there have been parts of the plan that we've talked about at budget, but regularly presenting implementation progress reports to the village board, plan commission, and other municipal bodies. At least in my last 6 years, and when I was on plan prior to that, never had any of that done.
Mhm.
So, is everybody okay with that?
Yep.
All right, and then the second change was plan update, and all I did was modernize it to this current plan update. It was pretty simple. It was actually pretty good. And then the last one, I didn't touch the implementation programs and recommendations. Obviously, that'll come once we go and pick what recommendations from what chapters we want to do and put a time frame on it. So that's later in the process.
That was the only note I had, was to talk about that table and see if there's anything specifically, how it was outlined and how they were planning on doing implementation and all that. I mean, I'm not quite sure what they were getting at.
Well, some of these were basically what they wanted to accomplish in the next 10 years. And a lot of them are recommendations. I'm guessing, I wasn't part of this one.
Right.
I'm guessing what they did is in each chapter, there are recommendations. It seems like they pulled certain ones
Awesome.
and then wanted to work on them, because I recognized some of the recommendations from earlier chapters. So
Sure.
I think they took some that they wanted prioritized. These were probably their top priorities. And I don't think we should touch that now because we got a new plan.
Right.
Once we get the plan, then we can start looking at, okay, what are our priorities and what do we want to do? Because the next step in March, we'll be laying out our community input plan. And starting that this year.
Okay.
And I think once we get all that and put these chapters together, then we can cherry pick which ones we want to work on, and that's where we fill this up. Because you can see where each of these are chapters, they say categories, but they're basically the chapters. Does that answer your question, Bill?
It does, thank you. Yep.
Anything else on this from anybody? That was pretty, it was a pretty simple one, I have to say. All right, then, I guess that'll be it for this, and then we'll just vote on it. Well, we could probably, we say we can do action now.
We're gonna do one action. we don't
Yeah.
know.
So do we want to compile, I guess I want to know what next steps for me too. So I have notes on all of the changes that we want.
Well,
So are you wanting
originally-
to see?
No,
them all compiled? Okay,
originally what I had set up at the beginning of this with Becky.
yeah,
She was gonna have, when we get done approving one, she was gonna have one that has all the changes on it, that shows the old
Sure.
work language and then the changes, you know, working document.
Right.
yep,
And then a clean version
okay,
with all the stuff that was actually changed.
sure.
Right, and I thought we were gonna just vote on all of them when they were all changed. No, am I-
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
well, we, actually what has happened, the problem, what's
So I have
that?
to take that to the public.
Right.
Before we vote on that.
Right, but what we did, how it's set up, if you look at the schedule, I present here, and then I take your suggestions back, and then I bring it back again. So it's always the month after that you vote on it. So today, we should have been voting on chapter 8, but we didn't put it on 8 because I wanted to put in the tourism part of it.
Mhm.
You know, what Doug did, but that, if you look at our timeline, it's chapter 1. We
Vote on.
talk about it, then the next week we talk about chapter 2, vote on chapter 1. That's kind of how it was set up, and then it would go to Becky to do those 2 forms. But I mean, we could do,
Yeah.
it just made it a little bit easier, but we certainly, Kevin is right. But we have to vote on what we wanna, it to look like for the public at this point, from our perspective. They have to have something to go with. We don't want them to start from the 2018 one.
No.
So that's was kind of the idea is we come up with a preliminary or draft, however you want to do it. And that'll be part of the educational part to the community, get their input, and then we modify it from there.
Although there's still a lot of work that has to be done because a lot of tables have to be.
Oh, yeah,
have to be
absolutely.
updated,
Yeah.
and diagrams have to be updated. I mean, there's a lot of that work that's gotta get done.
Right, but I don't, that, you're absolutely, that would be, I'm trying to save that for the end, so we have the most updated data.
So you gonna present that to the public or not?
No, I don't think the public really cares how many people work in this industry or how many work here. The thing with the public, and we'll have to go back to what they did in 2018, but I remember there's a survey.
Mhm.
So I personally would love to do the exact same survey. Get, you know, people who were involved in, because now you have potentially a 20-year comparison.
Mhm.
The land use map was the huge part. That's where I think 90% of the community is gonna really look. I don't think they're gonna read through this comprehensive plan and say, yeah, on transportation, I like this, and on cooperation with the towns, this. Maybe there'll be some on that, and we'll get our partners input, that's like stakeholders and stuff. But I think the community, their big thing is gonna be land usage.
Mhm.
That's what
Yeah.
I wish I just wasn't part of that 20.
And it doesn't, I mean, our approval, quote unquote, approval on these chapters is, you know, we're just recommending, there's no
Yeah.
real approval, it's not So I think what we did today is just fine. I don't know if we need any quote
Okay,
approval of
alright.
9 or 8. I think we've drafted it, we've reviewed it, we're like, okay, this is good enough. We eventually present that whole document, and that's what I think, before we present that document, we should all take one more look over.
Oh, absolutely.
And then sit here, and then maybe we say that is when we give a quote an approval for, public review.
Okay,
But I do think, I think we have to update some of that information before it goes out to the public. I'm not willing to say what that is. Some of
Yeah.
it can maybe wait, but some of that's gonna need to be updated before it goes out to public. I think
okay.
dates or numbers, we just, I mean, I missed all the fun of the last one. But we just heard about a 470 unit, home site.
Yeah.
We just went through a comp plan, and I don't think anybody here thought about that, at least specifically, maybe. you did.
Oh, no.
So,
But
we're gonna wanna review it in a holistic sense, or, as an entire document, before we send it back out.
oh,
And
absolutely.
people are gonna look at it that way, and those numbers are gonna affect how people comment too, I'm sure. So I just think we need to update some numbers, some information
Sure. We can-
prior to sending that out.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. We can certainly do that. And like I say, but the whole numbers thing is we're constantly updating. I know, right now, we're trying to get our sewer re-rated. For some reason, that didn't go through. Many of us thought it did, but we didn't follow through totally with it, so. And that's a critical part. That is critical. Because there's a big difference between a sewer capacity of 4,400 and 7,000. On what our future is gonna be. Right? So you're right on some of that, but I'm just thinking the mean, income and, there's just a ton, how many students there are in the school district.
Who's gonna do that part of it?
Well, we're gonna have to, and this is part of it that, I'll be honest, kind of frustrates me, because there are 3 documents that we're working on right now that a lot of the same information needs. That's the new part, 5-year plan, the re-rating of the sewer plant, and the comprehensive. Growth is a matter of all of those, right? That is a huge factor on every one of those. So we really, we should have just gone once to our planner and said, hey, we need this number so it could be used for all 3, instead of us going there 3 different times to get the numbers. And there's a median income, and there's just a bunch of stuff that CarC keeps up to date, number of units. But a lot of it's using 2020 census. I'm trying to think where.
So they should be all the same anyways, I guess that's.
Right, so we can just share it,
Yeah.
can't we?
Yeah, but it
Like
would have been
this
nice just to have one format that we just shoot into each one of our documents.
Well, we have the ability to reformat current document, okay?
I know, but yeah, I'm just saying, we just need to work a little bit more efficient and figure out what all these data, all these groups do, and get it once and then share it with everybody. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
And again, I'm hoping this, I think in there, we have it in, 2027, I'm hoping our end document is, that's when it's done. So we have time, but,
Mhm.
we're still in the data collection phase of it, for sure. Because even this, it's gonna be interesting, when you read the current one, they actually did, you do the survey and then you incorporate the results of the survey into the document.
Yeah.
So it had to be done prior to that, so those are the tiny things that we have to do, and a lot of the graphs in that one chapter came from the survey. So I think we're doing good.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question, maybe you can take your stuff and let.
Yeah, I'll work with Becky to-
Yeah, and try to get the two models, one that
Yeah.
has all the changes, one that
Yeah.
just has the changes in it.
that sounds good. Yeah, I'll compile everybody's feedback and go from there.
We should be pretty much done besides all the appendix, and
Yeah.
addendums, and there's a ton of them.
Mhm.
And I'm guessing some of that stuff they just pulled from some database, and that's, don't you think that's the format that it comes in? But if you could, for the next meeting,
Mhm.
see if you can track down the surveys that were used.
Yeah, in 2018.
Yeah, maybe it was 2017 or 2016.
It would have been 16 or 17.
Okay.
for public.
Because the publishing, okay.
Yeah. So just see what, and there should be one to the community at large, and then I think there were stakeholders. They did a survey.
Okay.
I think maybe that's it. And then I know the land use map was a big meeting. I do
Oh,
remember. Yeah.
Isn't that the one? No, it's the Legion, was it Legion?
I thought it was at the fire station. Maybe it was, maybe, because they had like 3 stations you went to.
Yeah, I still got the Legion, but I.
Okay, who knows, doesn't matter, all right. So do I have a motion for adjournment? Unless there's something else on this topic that people wanted to discuss.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to adjourn, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. So moved. All right.